Hello and welcome to the session on Uprooting Workplace Toxicity, how to build a culture where people thrive. A toxic workplace drains energy, kills creativity, and destroys morale. But here's the truth, every toxic culture can be transformed. In this session, I'll show you how to recognize workplace toxicity, uproot it, and build a culture where people can truly thrive. Imagine walking into the office every day with a knot in your stomach, not because of a tight deadline, but because the air feels heavy, the conversations are laced with negativity, and trust is in short supply. That's workplace toxicity. It creeps in quietly, takes root deeply, and, if left unchecked, poisons everything from productivity to employee well-being. Workplace toxicity goes beyond office gossip or occasional disagreements. It's a persistent environment marked by poor communication, lack of trust, favoritism, burnout, and unchecked conflict. Over time, a toxic work culture undermines employee engagement, lowers productivity, and leads to high turnover rates. But here's the good news: toxicity can be uprooted. Not with quick fixes or generic slogans, but with deliberate, consistent action. Toxic workplaces don't always have flashing warning signs. Sometimes the symptoms are subtle. A persistent gossip and backstabbing. A fear of speaking up. A favoritism and unfair treatment. A leaders who ignore or enable bad behavior. A high turnover and disengagement. Over time, these behaviors erode trust, collaboration, and motivation, thereby costing organizations both talent and revenue. Workplace toxicity thrives in environments where silence is safer than speaking up, where leadership avoids uncomfortable truths, and where systems reward results at the expense of people. It's not always about bad apples. Sometimes the orchard itself is unhealthy. Pause this video and reflect. Have you ever worked in a place where you dreaded Mondays? What made it toxic? The impact of a toxic includes stress on employees, employee disengagement, high turnover, a burnout culture, poor leadership and lack of accountability, ineffective communication, ignored employee well-being, resistance to change and inclusivity. How to uproot workplace toxicity. 1. Establish leadership accountability. Toxicity thrives when leaders look the other way. Every leader, from executives to team managers, must be accountable for shaping a respectful and supportive culture. Transparent decision-making and ethical leadership are non-negotiable. 2. Prioritize workplace well-being. Introduce initiatives that support physical, mental, and emotional health. Flexible working arrangements, mental health resources, and open communication channels foster resilience and well-being. 3. Foster open communication. Employees should feel safe to raise concerns without fear of retaliation. Regular feedback loops, anonymous surveys, and inclusive discussions empower employees and surface hidden issues. 4. Recognize and reward positive behaviors. Instead of allowing toxic behaviors to dominate, organizations should celebrate collaboration, innovation, and empathy. Recognition reinforces the values you want to see repeated. 5. Invest in continuous learning. Provide training on conflict resolution, diversity and inclusion, emotional intelligence, and effective leadership. These programs build the skills necessary to counter toxic work dynamics. What is the one step you believe your workplace could take right now to reduce toxicity? Type your response in the comments. To uprooting workplace toxicity. 1. Diagnose before you prescribe. Just like a gardener checks the soil before planting, leaders must understand the root causes of toxicity. Conduct anonymous employee surveys. Hold listening sessions. Analyze patterns in turnover, absenteeism, and grievances. The goal: identify the real problems and not just the visible symptoms. 2. Set non-negotiable behavioral standards. Culture is shaped by what you tolerate. Make it crystal clear what's acceptable and what's not. Implement a clear code of conduct. Address violations immediately, regardless of rank. Reward behaviors that align with company values. When employees see that fairness is consistent, trust begins to rebuild. 3. Lead by example. Leaders set the tone. If they gossip, dismiss feedback, or play favorites, those behaviors will trickle down. Model transparency and accountability. Admit mistakes openly. Demonstrate empathy in decision-making. People don't just follow rules, they follow what leaders do. 4. Train for emotional intelligence and conflict resolution. Toxicity often festers when employees lack the skills to handle disagreements constructively. Offer training in active listening, giving, receiving feedback, and de-escalation. Equip managers with tools for addressing conflict early. A culture that can disagree without disrespect is far less likely to turn toxic. 5. Build psychological safety. Employees must feel safe to share ideas, raise concerns, and admit mistakes without fear of retaliation. Encourage open dialogue in team meetings. Thank employees for speaking up, even if their ideas aren't implemented. Protect whistleblowers. When people feel safe, honesty becomes the norm. 6. Monitor, adjust, and reinforce. Uprooting toxicity is not a one-off cleanup. It's continuous maintenance. Revisit cultural health checks quarterly. Celebrate progress publicly. Provide ongoing feedback loops. Think of it as weeding your organizational garden, a constant effort to keep harmful elements from regrowing. When toxicity is replaced with trust, respect, and shared purpose, collaboration improves. Innovation flourishes. Turnover decreases. Employee well-being soars. Most importantly, people want to come to work, not just because they're paid to, but because they feel valued and respected. In closing, uprooting workplace toxicity isn't about perfection, it's about progress. It's the daily choice to create a space where employees don't just survive the workday, but grow, contribute, and thrive. Because a thriving workplace doesn't happen by accident. It is cultivated deliberately, patiently, and together. Eliminating toxicity is not a one-time fix. It requires ongoing commitment. Organizations that prioritize workplace well-being, leadership accountability, and employee engagement not only retain top talent but also create environments where people can do their best work. By uprooting toxic work culture, businesses don't just survive, they flourish. A thriving workplace is one where employees feel respected, valued, and empowered to contribute to shared success. If you're an HR leader, manager, or employee, you have a role to play. Let's commit to building cultures where people thrive. If you found this training useful, hit like, share this with a colleague, and subscribe for more content on workplace well-being, human resources management, and leadership.